Booyakasha, toy fans! I'm D21 Beast and welcome back to my figure review series here on my YouTube channel. And today we're taking a look at Mystic Donatello, released by Playmates, part of the Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles toy line, and it did arrive on store shelves in 2015. Now, I'm a little behind on the Turtle series. I'm only watching it on DVD, not live on Nickelodeon or anything, so I'm not quite sure what this episode's about, but I saw the look of this Donatello figure. I thought it was really cool. I like that he's got the mask on, and I knew I wanted to check this guy out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get things started by taking a look at that packaging. As you come down the front of this box, you do have the logo for Nickelodeon and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You've got a show-rendered version of Donatello off to the right. You then have a blister bubble packaging that does house this Mystic Donatello figure inside, as well as his accessories. And then towards the bottom, it does say, Mystic Donatello, be immovable like a mountain. And as we flip this package around, you once again have that Nickelodeon and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles logo at the top. You've got a bio for Mystic Donatello. Go ahead and pause now to read that. You then have a complete lineup of all the figures currently available from this toy line. Alright guys, well that's the packaging. Let's say we get Mystic Donatello out of the box and see what this guy is all about. Alright toy fans, here we have Mystic Donatello out of the box, and this figure is interesting. I'll be honest, the reason I picked up this Donatello figure, this Mystic Donatello figure, was mostly because of the sort of rock skull mask that he seems to have on his face. I had my options of picking up Raphael or Michelangelo instead, but I like to look at this figure, at least in the box. Out of the box, I'm really disappointed by the lack of paint detail on this figure. As I move Donatello over to the right here, you're going to see an image of this figure again as he looked on the back of the box, and you're going to notice there is paint missing on the wraps on the hands and the wrist. On the legs, there's some sort of like camouflage painting that's missing. On the legs, there's some paint that's missing. And really, overall, this Donatello just looks different from what we have on the image on the left. You're going to notice that there's different knee pads on the image on the left. This Donatello had darker elbow pads and a darker belt on his shell than he had on the picture on the left. Overall, it just really seems like they cheaped out on this Donatello figure, and I'm very, very disappointed by that fact. Now, as far as the actual detail of the figure itself, apart from that image, we're going to see here that my Donatello actually has a bit of paint overspray or something going on the back of the figure here. It's interesting that it might be paint overspray because he doesn't actually have any paint deco on him except for what's actually on the head of this figure. Everything else in this Donatello figure is, as he looked, molded in the plastic he was molded in. So they really just kind of painted the face, the skull, the eyes, the hood, and then just completely left the figure alone. I'm not really sure why Playmates chose to go that direction, but I am very disappointed overall. Moving on to accessories, things get a little bit better for this Donatello. What we have here first is a sort of coiled rope accessory. It's sculpted nicely, there's no paint detail on it, which isn't surprising given the figure, but it's just kind of cool to have a coiled rope accessory, but it doesn't fit into Donatello's hand at all, it's just too big. Next up we have this sort of giant axe. And this is kind of a cool accessory. There's a nice amount of sculpted detail on the handle, and then the blade is actually sculpted pretty nicely. It's got a nick in there, and you can see a bolt here holding the blade to the actual rod of the weapon. And overall, I do like the weapon itself. And then we have a sledgehammer here, and this is another cool accessory for the Donatello figure. Again, great sculpting, molded in a decent plastic. I would have preferred the handle be painted, but it's easier to believe a sledgehammer is all silver than it is a wooden-handled axe with a half-crescent blade. And the final thing that Donatello has as an accessory, which isn't immediately apparent, is his head will come off, and this sort of shroud he has around his shoulders is removable. And you can just place the head back on pretty easily there. And if you wanted to, you could just display your Donatello without that piece around his shoulders. So a great range of accessories there, but the lack of paint detail, while expected, is a bit of a disappointment. Moving on to articulation, this Donatello figure has most of the same articulation we've seen from previous Turtle releases. His head is on a ball joint, so it will spin all the way around, as well as looking down that far and up that far. The cape here, whatever this is, doesn't seem to get in the way too badly. And because it's a soft plastic, the arms can still move up pretty nicely. They stick out from the body up and about that far. They've got a single jointed elbow that bends down that far and back that far and rotates all the way around. This Donatello does not have any wrist rotation, which is very, very disappointing. We saw that with the comic book flashback Turtles. I was hoping that was a one-off, but maybe that's going to be the case moving forward. Same articulation here on the other side. There's no waist or ab crunch on this figure. He does still have the soft shell on the front, so he can lift his leg forward that far and bend it back only about that far, and it does move out from the body that far nicely, and it will rotate all the way around at the hip joint. He also has a single jointed knee that bends down that far and up that far and rotates all the way around at the knee. So, some of what we've seen before, but I really wish that wrist articulation would come back on the Turtle figures. Height-wise, we can see that this Mystic Donatello does stand just under 5 inches tall. For some size comparison, here he is compared to the 2014 movie Donatello figure, and compared to the 2014 Battle Shell Donatello, and compared to the 2014 original comic book Donatello, and compared to the 2003 animated series Donatello figure. And finally, here he is compared to the 6-inch scale Marvel Legends Infinite Series Wolverine. Alright toy fans, well that's my review of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mystic Donatello figure released by Playmates in 2015. Overall, I'm going to have to say you want to skip this Donatello figure, as much as it pains me to do so because I really like some of the stuff that Playmates has given us in the past. This Donatello figure's got some nice accessories, and I do like the idea of a Donatello in sort of a Grim Reaper or Executioner motif with the skull mask and the hood, and even his axe accessory is pretty cool. But there's just so much missed paint detail in this figure, it really is egregious, and I really feel like you're not getting your money's worth with this figure. All they did was paint his face. How badly is Playmates bleeding money that they can't even paint the fingers on this figure the same color they used for the eyes? I'm really disappointed with this figure. Because of that, I won't be picking up the rest of the Mystic Turtles line, but I do still look forward to the episode for what that's worth. Well, thanks for watching this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you saw here, please feel free to rate, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Booyakasha! Hey toy fans, are you looking for a new TV show where you can catch up on all your geek, comic book, television, and movie news? Well, give Project Geek Week a try. I just started it with some of my friends, and we're having a blast doing it, and would love for you to check us out. Thanks for watching.